Bring the truth to light, let the darkness fall. Hold them to account, we're standing tall. With courage and hope, we'll win this fight. In the snowy Monaro, bring the truth to light.
Last time we told the story of a fight for history. A small group of volunteers, the Friends of Bombala Railway, who have spent over a decade preserving the tracks, the station, and the stories of the past. We heard from Alan and Faye Simpson, who built this railway precinct up from nothing, only to now face the grim reality that their work may be undone by bureaucrats 100 kilometers away in Cooma. We uncovered their struggles, years of effort ignored, council meetings where their voices were dismissed, and a bicycle trail proposal that could see Bombala's railway torn from the ground despite local opposition. But we also heard their vision, a future where the railway, a rail trail, and even pedal-powered carts could coexist, if only the council would listen. Today we continue the conversation, but we go deeper. We examine council's lack of transparency, the political maneuvering, and the environmental risks that have been pushed aside. We hear about the gang of 6 councillors who refused to listen and the outright dismissal of Bombala's railway volunteers. This is a story of community. A story of power, of betrayal, and of people fighting to keep their history alive. Buckle in. This is Monaro Zone, the Rail and the Lamb Part 2.
I know I keep saying it, but it just goes back to the fact council should be supporting all three. There is room enough in that corridor for all three of us to work comfortably, nicely together, and work together. And yeah.
Have there been any councillors that have been friendly to your ideas regarding this? Have you tried reaching out to any of the other councillors?
We've spoken to Andrew Thaler, mainly Andrew, because he's the only one we know.
Bob knows where we
Bob
stand.
knows where we stand.
We've spoken
to
to Bob on different things.
Yeah. Who else is there? Luke Williamson.
Yes,
I have not actually spoken to him
I have.
personally, but we have emailed, messaged, sort of thing. But yeah, you know where you stand. There was a council meeting at the library in Bombala with council, and they wanted people to come and talk on what they wanted for the railway line. So Monaro Rail Trail spoke, Alan spoke, Cooma, did Cooma speak? I think Cooma spoke as well.
Craig spoke.
Yeah, Craig spoke.
And the Chamber of Commerce, Bombala Chamber of Commerce.
And Bombala Chamber of Commerce spoke.
So,
now, the questions were asked at the end of the speech. And I think that's where council decided there and then that was it. They weren't talking to us. And we've had no communication with them at all. But we could stand in that meeting and see who, couldn't make up their mind whether they wanted rail or rail trail or what. But then you could also tell which ones were not interested in railway at all. And it's more or less been the same. And that falls down, I hate to say it, but that falls down to the Hannah 6.
That's heartbreaking. That's really, really heartbreaking.
And the other 5 are new. Like Ruben Rose,
Andrew Thaler. Can't remember who else.
We knew Andrew before he got elected, so we've known Andrew for quite a while. And then Luke Williamson, he's new. And somebody Elliott, what's his first name? Nick Elliott?
Yes.
He's new. The 5 new councillors, as I said, we've got to the point where it's just a waste of our time. 6 is always going to beat 5, regardless. So, and 6 is not going to change their mind.
I don't think so.
No.
Have you spoken to anybody in the local community about this?
You saw me on the street stall today and talked to everybody about the railway.
Yep.
What's the consensus?
Well, we had a really good street stall. So, people were happy to talk to us. We get a lot of compliments on, you're doing a good job over at the railway.
Yeah. They're a bit like us. They realise that everybody can use the railway if it's done the right way, but it's got to be done the right way. So we have spoken to Krista McBain just to let her know that we were there. We tried to talk to Steve Wan. He wasn't interested in any way, shape or form. He's a bike rider. And yeah, so what do? It's like banging your head against a brick wall.
You're just not listening.
No. So,
What
No,
does
I'm
the
afraid none of them care. Sorry, go on.
No, that's right. What does the potential removal of these railway tracks mean for Bombala's railway heritage?
it'll be
It'll be gone.
It'll be gone. Once
It'll
they
be gone.
take the tracks out, we will fold if they take the tracks out. We have no use for it. There's nothing for us to do anymore if we can't get out of the yard.
And the station on its own without...
Sorry, that will go back to council. I will not look after the railway buildings.
Yeah, no.
I will not support council, put it that way, if council won't support me.
Yeah.
So if they're not going to ensure that we can continue to do what we want, then I'm really not going to look after what belongs to them anyway. Or what gives off a good impression of their town. You know, so Snowy Monero Regional Council are the enveloping body for all the towns that come under their umbrella. So if council's not going to help me, I'm not going to help council. I'm not going to waste my time sitting from 9 till 4:30 on a street stall to raise money to look after an area that's not mine. So
Makes a lot of sense.
The intention was never to be sort of locked in. The plan was to always run the Buke along with pedal carts and the train from Cooma. So once they do that, we're redundant, really, when you look at it. We'll give it away.
yeah, when I go home, I'll take a photo of our aims, which we set up at our very first meeting in 2012, which was where we wanted to go and what we wanted to do. We didn't have a time frame. It's not as though we said by 2015 or 2020 we want to have this, we want to be here. These were just our aims that we were going to work towards. I will take a photo of that and text it to you so that you've got what our aims were back then, and they haven't changed.
They haven't changed.
We haven't changed anything. We'd be a little bit further along than what we are now, except for COVID and the rail trail. But I'm not going to put myself out there for something that is not going to ever be able to complete.
Can you outline some of the major restoration efforts that you've done over the past few years?
Major restoration efforts.
Well,
We restored the turntable, our freezer van. We've spent $11,000 on that, repairing it, make it look respectable on the outside. We're hoping to get a grant maybe this year to do the inside.
we painted the tanker,
We did paint the tanker.
which needs doing again,
we-
but I'm not going to.
We pressure clean the building every other month to keep the spiders, cobwebs, and try and keep it looking nice and clean, or nice anyway.
And we spray the rooms like we do the whatever it is to make sure there's no creepy crawlies inside the buildings. And we keep the grass down to make sure that it's safe for people to walk around, so that they don't have to worry about snakes, which we get a lot of snakes in summer. So we maintain all the areas like around the station, the goods shed, the fettler sheds, and the turntable. So we keep all that neat and tidy so people can walk around without fear of not seeing a snake.
Our railway station at this point in time badly needs a restoration job. It needs repainting. It needs a lot of the timber work replaced because it's original timber. All the guttering has rotted out. We were going to raise money and paint it, but while it's now in limbo, why should I waste my money painting something that we're not going to have any control of?
Well, waste our time and all the effort it goes into to raise the money
So-
to buy it, because we have to buy special paint in order to keep it in the heritage colours. We have to get the paint mixed to a certain, I don't know, whatever.
We are trying to track down who's responsible for the railway itself, like the buildings. I thought UGL supplied a certain amount of money to maintain buildings. Apparently that is not so. That has changed. So we have to find out who exactly is in charge of them and see if they can't put a bit of money towards it to help get the job done. Maybe.
But again, are we doing it for our sake?
Yeah.
Or are we doing it for the rail trail? If I'm doing it for the rail trail, then they need to at least put half the money in. I'll put some in, but yeah. I mean, who am I spending my time for?
You know, that's it. So yeah, that's where we're at.
Yesterday at the meeting, there were a lot of concerns regarding the environmental risks posed by disturbing the rail. Do you think that is a justified concern?
Yeah, I mean, asbestos is nothing to be ignored. I didn't know about the coal ash, the silica in the coal ash. Someone told me the other day the silica in the coal ash is actually more dangerous than the asbestos. So they are two major problems that have to be addressed. So yes, it is a major concern.
I believe one of the councillors counted with Ian regarding the rail trail, saying, well, if we can't ride bikes on it because it's too dangerous, how come you can ride trains on it?
You're not disturbing the railway line. I mean, even if you put a sleeper in, it would be very minimal disturbance because you drag it out and then you just whack the other one back in underneath, pack a bit of dirt around it. So it's disturbance is minimal.
But the other thing with that is you have to be qualified to do all this.
Yeah.
Who on the rail trail is qualified to take sleepers out without disturbing the coal ash? I don't know. Do they have the qualifications to do this? I don't know.
Oh, I'll pay someone. But
even then, they've got to pay someone who's got the qualifications to do it and the equipment.
There was a local councillor that was disputing the claim that the coal ash or the heavy metals would be a problem because the rail's been there since forever. Is that a justified comment?
it has been there forever. But it is.
But it's never been disturbed.
It's compacted now. Originally, maybe back for the first 10 years of its life, it probably did wash out in places. I would think as time went by, it compacted more. It doesn't wash anywhere near probably as much as it used to.
But it's not been disturbed.
But it's not being disturbed, yeah.
And riding a train over the track, you're not disturbing it.
Yeah.
And riding a pedal bike, you're not disturbing it.
I don't know, because we're running on the rail. We're not actually running on the track.
On the track.
So, and the rails are secure. So, I mean, it's not as though when we run on the rails, they're actually disturbing anything because they're there. And, I mean, I can't even move one, let alone do anything else with it. But, yeah, it's...
Do you think it is a genuine concern that if this railway corridor is disturbed, that it could impact local waterways, soil quality?
Oh, of course, of course it could.
It's
like any asbestos or ash facility where it's present. It'll contaminate whatever it runs into.
Yeah.
Yes. And I think the Cooma water tank thing is a good
example
of that. Yes. And we own a house that was built in 1921.
1916.
1916.
Yep.
And underneath it you can find contamination of asbestos. We have picked most of it up in the smaller stuff, but if it's there and it's disturbed, it'll run off. It'll be a problem, yes.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just, we're not going to move anything.
Mm.
And if we did, we would speak to Cooma. Cooma are the ones who are qualified. They have all the certificates and the proper machinery to do it. So we would talk to Cooma before we do anything. I mean, we're not knowledgeable in that effect, so we would seek out the people who know. You know, let's not just get in there and dig it up and throw it around?
You have to have a qualification to do anything on the railway. You must be accredited. I can see no point in me becoming accredited in anything because I'm not going to be there long enough to worry about it, which is where we would like to see younger people coming in. Cooma has a lot of younger people, and they do all of their track work up there, all their sleeper replacement.
They're all accredited.
They're all accredited, yes.
So Cooma would help us in that effect.
And they would put in place any safety devices, booms or whatever, matting to stop the runoff, or if the runoff started, couldn't go any further than there. So, yeah, that's about the best I can do.
Let me argue from the opposite perspective. Proponents would argue that this rail trail, this bicycle trail, will bring a lot of tourism dollars into Bombala. Doesn't that make it worthwhile then, if it does?
I really have this problem. People are going to ride from Canberra to Michelego. It's a nice distance for people who ride their bikes a lot. It's scenic. They can turn around and ride back. Where are people going to ride to Bombala from? Are they going to ride from Cooma? If they ride all the way from Cooma to Bombala, they're not going to make it. They're not going to make it in one day. Are they going to ride from Nimity Bell to Bombala? I don't even think they're going to make that in one day. If they did, do most bike riders not have a support car that has their water in it, has their spare tyres in it, has their spare, I don't know, whatever you need to ride a bike? I don't know. I don't ride a bike. But I just can't see enough people coming to Bombala in any one day, any one week, any 1 month that is going to improve our tourism that much. And I think the rail trail, you're going to turn around, you're going to say to me, but neither's your pedal cart, love. Your pedal cart's not going to do it for you. Fair enough, it might not, but I'm not out there spruiking that I'm going to bring all these hundreds of thousands of dollars to Bombala. I might bring $40 this week. Next week I could bring 200. I don't know. I can't tell you what the pedal carts would bring.
I think a lot of locals would be interested in a pedal cart.
Well, I was just going to say to you, all I can tell you is I would be over there once or twice a week having a ride, because we did it in Tasmania and it was brilliant. And Tasmania, if they're going to use other rail trails to spruik this one up, let me use the Tasmanian rail track riders. We had to wait. I tried to book last August 2022. I tried to book a ride for 2024, and I only got on because somebody cancelled.
Yep.
We went to Tasmania on the 26th of January. We came home on the 23rd of April. So we were there all that time, and it was towards the end of the trip. Somebody cancelled, and they actually had my name on their waiting list, and they rang me.
Yep.
And we got a ride. So if they can be that booked out in 3 months, then, hey, let me give it a go. It may not work in Bombala, I don't know. But unless I try it, unless we try it, we're not going to know. But it was $75 per person for a ride.
Yep.
4 people can sit on a cart. Now there's 300 people. We wouldn't charge that much because they had things you could see along the way. Ours would just be enjoying the ride through the countryside, maybe get to Bibbenluke for a sunset drive. You can see the snowy mountains from the Bibbenluke siding.
You can sit in the
Bukelong
little hut out there at Bukelong and look through the door and you look straight at the snowy mountains. And the day I sat there and looked at it, it was covered in snow, and I thought, wow, that's an amazing sight.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
But I mean, you wouldn't have to do the sunset. You could drive out there in the morning. We could have a barbecue set up out there.
Barbecue lunch or whatever.
You know, if you didn't want to pedal back in, well, maybe we could have someone who pays to pedal back in. If not, maybe we can put it on a trailer and just drive it back to town if you can't get that far. And I will admit, we did the pedal cart in Tasmania, and Al did most of the pedaling. I'm really not an exercise person.
The other thing is with the pedal carts, if it's uphill, it would be uphill from here to Bucalong. You would have a four-wheel drive motorbike that would push you if you didn't want to pedal. It would,
or if you
which
couldn't
was what
pedal.
happened to us. When we got tired of pedaling, they'd just come up behind us and started pushing.
Just give us a little
so
push.
you could do that. You don't have to pedal all the way. But coming back, you'd easily do it. It's got a 3% slope all the way back or something. So.
Yeah.
What about the argument that Friends of Bombala Railway really don't need a working rail anyway, that you could just have your museum of the station? Wouldn't that be enough?
What's the museum going to do me? We do tours over there, and we do it as a gold coin donation. I've done many tours and made $1. I've done some other tours where I've made $20.
We haven't made any money from donations in probably 3 years.
Yeah.
People do not donate anymore, regardless of how much time you spend with them, regardless of how much information you tell them. They turn around and say, thank you very much, and walk off. Unlike Cooma, who has a great big fence around their railway station, we have nothing. We can't control the people coming or going. You've got to pay $2 before you come through that gate. We can't do that. And you can ask people if they're going to donate, no, just turn around and walk away. So a museum on its own wouldn't cut it.
Yeah.
That's why we want pedal carts to help boost the profit or the money. Not so much the profit, but the money.
Yeah. The thing is, in this day and age, money is tighter. Everybody is, struggling a bit. So, and that's what I said, we wouldn't make it that dear that people couldn't afford to do it. And if you've got someone ringing up and booking a ride who's coming from away, then depending on that ride, they might buy their lunch in town. I don't know. They might buy a drink in town. I just can't see someone pedalling to Bombala who isn't going to have a support car.
Yeah.
It just, I don't think it works. But, as I said, until we actually try it, I can't give you a projection on what this would do for the town or what it wouldn't do for the town. I'm not here to give you any false hopes or any lies because I don't know.
I'm pretty sure we'd make something out of it. But, how much is like, how long's a piece of string?
And any money we raise, we spend local. We buy our spray from Nutrients Ag. We buy our hardware stuff from, it's now Stafford's, used to be Murphy's. If we're having a barbecue and if we're having a working bee and we decide to have a barbecue, we buy our meat from Billy's. We buy our pasta salads from IGA. So what money we raise is spent in the town.
Do you believe that council has been transparent in its handling of this issue? Have they been transparent with you?
No.
No.
Council's not spoken to us either. One meeting at the library.
When was that?
That was a council meeting a while
back. We had
back.
a couple of meetings at different...
And then they called a meeting, they have spoken to us, they called a meeting for Alan and I only at the council chambers. There was 5 councillors there.
5 councillors, a couple of rail trail people and a few people from the
Chamber of Commerce. And there was me and Al, and we took Artie with us. We took Arthur
Artie can be a
Dracopoulos.
bully too when he wants to be.
What year was this?
Look, I couldn't tell you a year. It must have been after
23.
21, so it must have been early 23, late 22.
Could be late 22.
Yeah, it would have been late 22.
Well, at that stage we had a memorandum of understanding with Cooma. We asked for Cooma to be invited. They would not invite Cooma. So we said, oh, that's fine. So we said to Artie, can you come along and help us? Because for us, we looked at it, it's going to be a bullying session for sure. So we turned up there, and it pretty much turned out that way. But a lot of the questions they asked us, we couldn't answer because Cooma were the ones that were in control of what's going to happen. So we just said, you have to ask Cooma. That's up to Cooma what happens there. So, yeah.
What sort of, you said that you got bullied?
It was intended to be a bully session. They refused to have Cooma there, and I think the reason they did that was because they knew Cooma had more knowledge of the railway system and how it worked than what we did. You got to remember, we have no railway experience at all until we started the group, and even now, I would say our experience of the railway is not high. Any questions we have, we ring Cooma. We get the answers from Cooma. Cooma Monero Railway are just brilliant. They help us whenever we need it.
Yep.
They talk to us whenever we need them to. So this was definitely a bullying session from the council. I mean, there was 5 councillors. There was at least 4 from the rail trail and at least 3 from the Bombala Chamber of Commerce who support the rail trail.
Which councillors were there at the time?
Oh, look. There was Hannah, there was Davis, because she was the one who gave me the most curry.
And the 2 on the side, I can't remember who they were.
I'll go and ask Artie. Artie might know.
Yeah. Not so much Hannah. He was in control of the meeting. He was in charge of the meeting. Narelle got a bit stroppy with us at times because things didn't quite go the way she wanted.
In which ways did Narelle get stroppy?
I'd get as stroppy as she likes, but yeah, it won't make no difference to me. But yeah, they offered us all sorts of incentive to do this and do that. We were offered X amount of the dollars that they got at the $1 million to, like a bribe, I guess you'd call it, to do this and do that. But we said, no, thank you. We want to do it our way and not that way. So nothing come of it. Yeah, we all walked away and now we're stuck with the mess we've got.
If you could talk to the independent councillors, such as Rose and Williamson.
I have spoken to Luke Williamson. Luke Williamson come down for one of our open days we had over there. We went just out of town out here and we walked probably 500 metres of the railway line just looking for asbestos and having a look. General condition of the railway line. And then Luke went back home. He got what he needed. Andrew Fowler also joined us on that particular morning, and both those councillors supporters. But they're the only 2 that we've ever had much to do with, apart from the ones that attended the meeting here in Bombala.
If we could get 6 councillors on board, what would you like to tell them? How would you sell this idea to them?
What could you say to them? For God's sake, use some common sense. Let's do this right. Do it once and do it right. Let the 3 of us use the rail, the corridor. It's simple as that. It's not hard to figure out. But, yeah, they don't want to.
So, what would be the next steps for the Friends of Bombala Railway? Do you have any plans to challenge or appeal the decision?
No, we don't have that much money, unfortunately. Appealing things usually involves a lot of money. Whatever they do, if we have to close, then we'll just take it on the chin and walk away. What else can you do? I'd love to put an injunction of some sort in there, but we just don't have that type of money. Hopefully it won't come to that. Hopefully it'll be sorted.
As we wrap up, any message that you wanted to send to the community or to councillors in particular?
I think our councillors know the message we actually send to them for our community. We'd just like to say thank you for your support, and they do support us well. Without you, we wouldn't be doing what we do. That's it. If someone had only come and spoke to us when it was first decided to do that, we found out about it. We did have a meeting with a local rail trail people from Bombala, Cooma, and right there and then they told us, no, we're taking the railway line out. And that's when we thought, we need to go and see Cooma and tell Cooma we need to join forces. And then in 2021, 3 meetings were set up at Cooma. We had 2. I was away for the 3rd one, but the 3rd one did not go ahead. I'm not sure of the reason why. I did hear a story that the rail trail people were told to go away and bring back some figures that made sense. And that was one thing when the very first meeting we had with them here, they showed us what their figures were for how much money that we'd make per year, blah, blah, blah. And you've got to be kidding. That is not realistic. So, and that never changed. And I think their figures even today are still very rubbery. But,
You said you had friends in the Cooma Railway Club. Were they helpful?
Oh.
Have they been helpful?
Cooma's always been helpful. Yeah, no, they do help us a lot.
Who runs that?
Craig Moore, is the president there these days. Gordon Strachan used to be president. Gordon's a wonderful person. He's a big part of the Cooma Railway. He used to be the president there. Easy to get along with. They're all easy to get along with, and they come down one day to help clean up the railway. We hadn't done any work over there for ages because I didn't want to leave it clean and tidy for the rail trail people. If they want it tidy, they can clean it up. Anyway, Gordon rang me one day and said, look, we'll come down and help you clean up the railway and get a bit of publicity. The story's going to go in the paper. And I said, yeah, that's all well and good, but I'm not interested in cleaning up the railway for the rail trail people. He said, oh, really? So we had a bit of a chat and we decided, all right, we would clean it up. And that's when we signed up the Memorandum of Understanding and that we would stay because we need Cooma, but Cooma needs us here if they ever run a train through. There's already an established group to come on board to supply people to take tickets, whatever happens to help passengers or whatever. We help one another and vice versa.
Have you spoken to them since the recent council meeting?
I spoke to, not after that meeting, no I haven't, not last night. Craig's away on holidays, he left on Friday, so, and Gordon, he's not the president, so I haven't worried about ringing him. Someone was about to ring him there a while ago about little problems come up, but I haven't spoken to him, no, not yet. They keep telling me, stop stressing, it's all good, it's not going to happen, and I'm just not always that confident, but although I was just told something a while ago, and unfortunately I can't tell you. I wish I could, but I can't. It's very top secret at the moment, but which may help, mate.
And you're familiar with Ian from the Cooma Mineral Progress Association?
Ian Ware, yes, I know Ian. Yes, actually that's who I was talking to before I come in here. I have met Ian once, but most of the time we speak by phone. And he just rang me with some news there a while ago, but it's not been confirmed yet, so I can't really tell anyone. But,
Well, what's the relationship between the Friends of Bombala Railway and the Cooma Mineral Progress Association?
We met Richard Hopkins at the very first meeting in Cooma with the rail trail people because there was a group of people. There was councillors, there was other business people, there was Richard Hopkins from the Cooma Mineral Progress Association, there was us, so there was a few there, So we got to know Richard, and then Richard wanted a bit of information one day and didn't know how to get in touch with me, and about dinner time I rang him for some information for myself. He said, oh, I'm glad you rang, I've been wanting to ring you but I don't have your phone number. Oh, cool, excellent. So we have liaised a little bit more in the last three or so months. Same with Ian. I very rarely used to speak to Ian on the phone. We spend quite a bit of time on the phone at the moment trying to do this and that. So they've been very helpful. Richard tries to tell me a lot. Trouble is I don't have a very good memory, and the story that should be that long is this long and interesting, but I go to tell someone, I can't remember what Richard said. So, but we have a good association with the progress people.
Are you hopeful that by working with Cooma Railway and Cooma Mineral Progress Association, perhaps something could be done to stall the process on the rail trail?
I'm pretty sure something will be done. Richard's pretty adamant, and so is Ian Ware and a few other people, that the railway line to Eden will go in eventually. it's a matter of time. And I've always said that myself. Eventually they're going to have to do it. They have to. It's a matter of how long.
And that will connect Bombala to Eden.
To Eden and on back to Cooma.
Canberra.
To Canberra, then from Canberra to Yass to Cootamundra. The line, there is a new line that has to go in from Canberra to Cootamundra, which is not there at the moment. So
that would be a huge boom for Bombala.
That would be.
it would be great
If
for
you could come
Bombala.
to Bombala via rail.
The gentleman who rang me when I went out, he's always saying they've got a repair yard at Parks, a big one, huge. He said that should be moved to Bombala, so the freight trains coming up over the mountain, it could be repaired here. And I agree with him. It'd be great, but it's got to happen. And
that'd be great for industry.
Yeah.
For the accommodation, for the businesses.
Yeah, well, I've got
tourism.
Yeah, I don't think, honestly, that the railway is going to save Bombala alone. You've got to bring other things here. You can't just rely on. You've got to bring industry. Our 3 children have left Bombala because there was no work here for them, so they've moved. We're not the only parents who've seen their kids leave town in order to get jobs. What we need to do is have jobs that our kids can take here in town. You've got to start somewhere, but you've got to be fair about it. And yeah, that's the way they're going at the moment. It's not fair. The other thing, getting back to that meeting at the council, Artie's going to get back to you on that. He needs to see their faces. He can picture them all, but he needs to see their faces. But Minns, Davies, and he thinks Rooney might have been there.
Who?
Not Minns, Hannah. Hannah, Davies, and Rooney.
No, Rooney wasn't
No?
there. No.
Then it's another one of the older ones.
There was 2 other gentlemen there from the council.
But he said Rusty was there and Charlie Maslin.
Yeah, Charlie Maslin, who's Rail Trail.
Yeah.
Rusty, who's Rail Trail. Also, Chamber of Commerce, Bombala Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But Chamber of Commerce have changed over the last couple of years. So I think 2 Chamber of Commerce people who were there at the time aren't actually in Chamber of Commerce now. So, but Artie is going to get back to me on the other faces.
You have my sympathies. I didn't know much about this story, but the more I heard about it, it really is a beautiful story of just a small community coming together to maintain some heritage of the past, to keep that legacy going forward.
Yep.
And you're not asking any money from council,
No.
whereas this bicycle trail will require maintenance, it'll require
forever.
money, it'll increase rates. But you guys have been doing this quietly, all on your own, without external assistance for decades. And then just people with the right connections can come in and literally start planning to rip up
That's right.
all the work that you put in for
They've
decades.
got the connections. We don't. So, but the other part of that too is we told the rail trail, put it beside and we will help you maintain it.
Yeah.
Therefore, there's no drag on the council money to maintain your rail. Because if we're using the rail, we have to keep the weeds down. We have to keep the lawn mowed in order for the train to go through, to make sure there's no snakes or whatever, So we even offered to maintain their track for them. No thanks.
And they just blew you off.
So, from what I believe, council's happy to put a 3% surcharge on our rates in order to maintain this track. Why should I pay for something I'm never ever going to use? I doubt any relative of mine is ever going to use it, and we don't come from a small family. So, why should 3% of our pension go towards maintaining something that is, to me, isn't something I'm ever going to use?
Yeah.
And I feel that's the same with the rail trail. I honestly believe the Hannah Sikhs, some of them are either bike riders or they're friends of bike riders. And because they're all together and they do everything together, I think, they just, if this one's going to vote yes for this, then they all just follow suit. I don't think, and this is a terrible thing to say, but I don't think any of them can think for themselves. And that's not what our council should do. Our council should be there to support the communities regardless of whether they know me or don't know me, or they ride a bike and I ride a bike, or they don't ride a bike and I don't ride a bike.
It's sad. I quite often watch the podcast of the meeting.
I can't handle it.
And it's sad to watch what they do. Something that should be passed, but the gang of six, hang on, we don't like that, we'll vote that out. And they railroad it. It's just ridiculous. Well, that's like the new CEO. They weren't allowed to check him out. And look at the wanker he turns out to be.
We just don't trust them.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's just, I get caught up in it as well.
Yeah, I do. I usually leave the room when Alan starts watching it because to me they're like a bunch of 5-year-olds. And I've got a grandson who's 6 and he behaves better than what they do. I've got a 3-year-old granddaughter who behaves better than what they do. You know? I can't listen to it. I really can't. And I don't get that nobody has a thought of their own. You very rarely hear somebody stand, like of the Hannah Six, stand up and say to any of the other councillors, good point. You never hear good point, or you never hear, I never thought of that, or I didn't know that, or something. You know, the questions are ridiculous.
It's sad to see what they do to Andrew Thaler. Andrew's a great bloke, he really is. And what they tried to do to him is unbelievable. You know, like PIOs and POIs rather.
I don't know what they're called.
Points of order, that's it.
Oh, points of order, yeah.
It's just stupid.
I mean, the very first council meeting...
They threatened to throw him out of the council because they didn't like him being elected there. Well, excuse me, we voted for him. You can't throw him out. So,
At the very first council meeting after the election, we attended, and I sat there for maybe 20 minutes, and 6 times in that 20 minutes, I'm pretty sure there was point of orders called against Andrew, and I just stood up and, excuse my language, but I said same shit, different day, and I left because I wasn't interested in their internal politics. That's what it is, internal politics. This person against that person against that person. It's got nothing to do with the subject they're discussing. It's I don't like you, so anything you like, I'm not going to like. You know, and that's just where it's wrong.
Yeah. We went to that meeting expecting Bob Stewart to be mayor.
Bob Stewart expected to be mayor.
Everybody expected Bob to be mayor, but Chris Hanna stabbed everybody in the back. And why? Because he knew without being mayor they did not have
6
the numbers to run the council on their own. They're not silly. We are. They're not.
I don't know. We got Andrew and Ruben and Luke in there. So, and even Nick Elliott, we got him in there. We were silly enough not to get more in there, to be honest with you. We needed to have the 6.
You got to wonder about the way people vote when you sit there and watch the gang of 6 and the way they work. Why would you vote for them? They do nothing for the community. Absolutely zilch.
But I think too, a lot of people don't pay enough attention to council, what council's doing. Most people sit back and go, well, that's who we got, let them run it for 4 years, and then we'll, you know, if we don't like it at the end of the 4 years, well, we might try something different.
Yeah.
But again, I think it boils down to how many friends have you got? Yeah. Well, see, up until the rail trail, I was as bad as everybody else. I would just sit back, and if something I didn't like happened, I'd go, oh, well, that's council. Council, you know, in their wisdom, has decided to do that. But after watching a couple of the council meetings, I don't think there is any wisdom. It's not there. They're not making decisions, as far as I'm concerned, on the facts. They're making decisions on what their friend wants or what, you know, the other councillor wants. You know, there's 6 of us in this little group, and the 6 of us can get this done. Well, getting this done isn't necessarily what's best for the community, it's what's best for those 6 people. And I just think it's wrong.
Anyway.
That's the same feelings that I had.
Yeah. And
Before COVID, we used to spend a hell of a lot more time over there than what we do now.
yeah.
We were there, we would have been there every month for our working bee, but we used to run barbecues at the railway. We would be over there at 6 o'clock in the morning, the freezing cold, lighting a barbecue for people travelling through town. We'd have it on the
Trying to
road
make
just
the
in
odd
front of
dollar.
the information, trying to make an odd dollar. In front of the information centre, 6 o'clock in the morning, freezing cold, catching truck drivers or tourists going through,
The
people
odd-
leaving the caravan park.
The
you
old
know?
local who pulled up, grabbed their egg and bacon roll, and you're stupid, Simpson.
Yeah, they used to say that a lot. You're just stupid, Simpson. But we used to do it.
You couldn't pay somebody to do this.
Yeah.
But you guys do this out of love.
Yeah.
And I would expect that there would be a plaque or some memorial to the efforts that you put in. But in fact, what we find out is totally contrary to that.
Yeah.
Where these interlopers from outside,
Yeah.
from 100 kilometers away,
Yeah.
have just decided on your behalf,
Yeah.
well, thank you for doing this job for a couple of decades, but we're just going to take it off
that's
you
it.
right now
Yeah.
and throw all that work that you've done into the bin.
Yeah.
And that's a great injustice, I feel.
Yeah. But the point is, I'm not doing it for a plaque. I'm not doing it for someone, at the end of the day to say we couldn't do this without the Simpsons or without the Friends of the Bombala Railway. We're just trying to do it for the town. I love this town. Have done for a long time. We've lived here, well, I've lived here since 79, so it's 46 years this year. I was 20 when we moved here, 21 when we moved here. And Bombala has become my hometown. One of my children was born here, the other 2 weren't. But it's become our hometown, and I expect to at least do something for the town. This town helped raise my 3 children. I'm just trying to give back something that I feel the town gave to me. They gave me supports and now I'm trying to support the town. And Arthur's now joined us, yes? Yes, sit down, Artie, to change. We had to form a group.
Yeah.
It couldn't go on just being me and Al forever.
Yeah.
So
I just wanted to see when your love for this area started. Was it prior to 2011?
oh yeah, I was at Cathcart Community Hall.
Yeah, yes.
I was treasurer there for quite a few
We
years
lived
and
out of town for a
secretary.
long time before we moved here.
We
into
only
town.
moved into town in
1999.
1999. Christmas, December 1999, we moved to town and purchased our house.
And you've been doing community stuff since then.
Yeah, well, I worked at NAB for the first 10 years, Westpac for the first 10 years. I was here as a casual, and then the 2010 to 2020, I worked at NAB as a casual, and then the last 4 years, I've done community transport driving. But the connection with Bombala started, I think, when the kids went to school. When my kids started school, that's when I felt the community came together to help me raise my kids to be good adults. And yeah, so to me, I feel we're just giving back to the community and thanking them for what they did for me, even though they didn't actually come out and do it. I mean, it's not as though anyone drove my kids home from school or anything, but I felt I had the community support in raising my kids,
And you had Artie's support.
and always got Artie's support.
He makes a great almond hot chocolate. Thank you very much.
And then, so I felt that doing the railway, which is the only thing that needed a bit of tender loving care, was giving back to the community something that the community given to me.
We began this story about a man who had nothing but a single lamb, raised with care, protected, nurtured, only for it to be taken by those with power, those who had more than enough but still wanted more. In Bombala, the railway is that lamb. Built up from neglect by volunteers, safeguarded by a community that asked for nothing in return, and now set to be stripped away, not because it must be, but because those in control can. A lifeline that was saved through sweat, through sacrifice, through an unshakable love for Bombala's past and its future. The Friends of Bombala Railway fought not for profit, not for power, but to ensure that history would not be erased. But as we have heard, in today's snowy Monaro, hard work means nothing without connections. The very people who have spent years preserving the railway, maintaining it without council funding, raising every dollar themselves, are now being cast aside. Not consulted, not considered, just swept away by those with power, those with influence, those with the right friends in the right places. This isn't about bicycles versus trains, it never was. The Friends of Bombala Railway volunteers offered to share, offered to maintain the trail alongside their own work to make space for Cooma's rail trail cyclists. But that was not enough. This was never about working together. This was about power, about control, about a gang in council who rule with impunity, unchallenged, unchecked, unwilling to hear the voices of the very people they claim to represent. Do not punish the poor for being poor. Do not erase the work of those who have given everything simply because they lack the connections to fight back. This is not just about a railway. This is about who gets heard and who gets railroaded. Thank you again for joining us on Monaro Zone. This was part 2 of The Rail and the Lamb. Stay safe, stand for truth, and never stop fighting for what's right. Share this article, spread the word, and demand change. The truth belongs to all of us, but only if we have the courage to claim it. Together, we can shine a light on the shadows of governance and bring accountability back from the brink. But remember, the next move isn't up to them. It's up to you. Because in the snowy Monaro, transparency isn't just a policy. It's the difference between light and dark.
5 independents stood firm in the hall. Rose, Stewart, and Williamson gave it their all. Fowler and Elliot joined in the fight, but the gang voted no, blocking the light. Stewart reminded of decades gone by. Bombala did better, we need to ask why. Councillors meet deadlines, the staff should as well. For the sake of this region, we must break the spell. Bring the truth to light, let the darkness fall. Hold them to account, we're standing tall. With courage and hope, we'll win this fight. In the snowy Monaro, bring the truth to light. Though emotion was lost, the fight isn't done. The gang may have blocked it, but they haven't won. Independents stand with the people's voice to fight for the truth and a better choice. So rise up, Monaro, and join in the call. Demand better governance for one and for all. With Rose, Stewart, and Dollar, we'll set it right. In the snowy Monaro, bring the truth to light.